of the world. This is DeAnna Lam of Red Tent in Every Neighborhood. And I'm delighted to be here today. And we have a topic that's not that delightful, it's actually a little bit heartbreaking. So a friend of mine came back from visiting Israel and reported of a phenomenon of teen girls who continue to wear face masks, even though they're not mandated anymore by the state of Israel, in order to cover blemishes on their faces. That was heartbreaking for me to hear, and it brought back the realization that the messages we give to our daughters, to our girls, to the girls growing up today, are not as different as they were when I was growing up in Israel of the 60s. And I'm wondering, first of all, whether other women around the world that are listening to us have come across this phenomenon in your countries, in your cities, in your neighborhoods, first of all, because the fact that it's happening in Israel tells me that it's probably not the only place where it happens. But the other thing is that it made me think about the messages I received, and I want to encourage you to think about the messages you received as girls, as teen girls, about beauty, about being a woman, about being a girl. And what is it that we're giving to the girls growing up today? So I remember being 8 years old and my mom putting me on diets to say in the subtext that how I was not good enough. I was not that fat at all. When I look at pictures now, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. But what my realization now is that she wanted to diet. She was endlessly dieting to lose weight, and she wanted a partner. But she was pushing me along. I remember very vividly, I want to share a memory with you from being around 14-year-old at 8th grade. And I had a sleepover with a good friend of mine who was wearing a lot of makeup at the time. I wasn't at that time. My mother was not supporting that. And in the morning, we got up and she looked at me and she said, "Wow, you look in the morning exactly the same as you looked last night. For me, it takes me almost 2 hours to look like myself because I have to work on my makeup." And I remember that at that point, at that moment in time, at the age of 14, I decided I will not wear makeup. It was a resolve that happened at that moment. And initially, it was a shock to realize that she will need every day 2 hours to look like herself, her made up self. And I actually stayed true to that commitment I made to myself. I do not wear makeup. I don't own makeup. You know, I had gone to parties where there was costume parties where I did makeup, a lot of color on my face to be someone else, to be dressed up as someone else. But I do not own makeup. So that was something that was echoing from that time to realize that what I was told as a woman, young budding woman, the messages I was given were that we need to spend a long time to become someone we're not. I remember another friend of mine in my 20s that said, "Oh, let me put my camouflage face. Let me put my camouflage colors." So again, the message was, we are not good enough the way we are. We have to change how we look, how we weigh, what we present, the way we present ourselves. And has that changed in any significant way from that time in the 60s to this time? Maybe that's not the message you give your daughters. I hope not, and I trust that many of you don't. But it is still the message the culture is giving to the girls growing up today. It's still the message that girls receive when girls wear masks to cover blemishes, not because there is a requirement to stay safe from germs. Then girls are saying to themselves, "I'd rather not be seen. I'd rather not show who I am because who I am is not good enough." And that is heartbreaking. And that is something that we need to actively work towards shifting and changing. And where we shift and change that is first and foremost looking in the mirror at ourselves and letting ourselves know that how I look is good enough. I look me and I am me and I embrace me. And then modeling that to the girls in our midst, our daughters, granddaughters, nieces, stepdaughters, girlfriends, daughters, anyone who's growing up in this time in your life needs to see you accepting you, needs to see you being absolutely fine and embracing who you are in the mirror, who you are in the way that you present yourself, and not having to hide or alter or change or camouflage who you are in order to be acceptable. So if you're watching now or later, I would love to invite you to comment what were your messages growing up about being a girl, about being a teen girl, about becoming a woman. What are the messages you give to yourself today when you look in the mirror? And what are the messages that the girls growing up around you receive? Because it is in our hands. We are the message givers. Yes, the culture gives messages, the makeup industry gives messages, the fashion industry gives messages, the advertisement world, the media gives messages, but we are part of that picture and we can change that by inserting into those diminishing messages, inserting self-accepting messages, inserting willingness to embrace ourselves first and foremost for ourselves, and then to ripple effect it and to model it to the girls in our midst. We can do it. We can change the world like that. It's in our hands. I'll see you next time. And for now, be well. Together we are indeed changing the world. Bye for now.